Is this thing on? Okay, I think it is. Okay, anyway, cool. Hi, and welcome to the Tammy and Vanessa Show. So, I'm Tammy.
And I'm Vanessa.
And today we have this huge announcement for you. So, do you want to tell them?
Sure.
Actually, I kind of want to tell them. We recently reached 5 subscribers! Oh my gosh!
So excited.
So, basically, we're just really happy and we want to thank all of you. Say thank you, Vanessa.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so, anyway, back to the show. The theme of our episode today is Newgate Prison.
It's Newgate, smart one.
I knew that.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, today we have some very special guests, including a real-life prisoner, Elizabeth Fry, and a historian. But first, we have some background info. A prison is a place where, like, bad people go when they do, like, bad things, and they go there to stop doing bad things.
So Newgate was the most famous prison in London during the
I think it's
the Victorian era. Prisoners were held there if they were awaiting trial at London Central Criminal Court. But you'd have to do something like really bad to get into prison there.
1800, there were about 200 crimes where the punishment was death. OMG. These were called capital crimes.
There were like 2 categories of crime back then, and those were indictable
And summary.
Indictable crimes would be felonies today in the
US of A. And summary crimes would be misdemeanors.
So if you were convicted of an indictable crime, that led to indictment and trial by jury. Some crimes that would count as indictable were like murder, armed robbery, burglary, larceny, fraud, and significant violations of public order.
And if you were convicted of a summary crime, that would be like petty theft, poaching, vagrancy, drunkenness, vandalism, and taking part in minor disorders. Prostitution was not against the law, but if you did that, you could be charged with misdemeanors.
So without further ado, Newgate prisoner Archibald Smith.
Yay! Welcome, Archie. Do you mind if we call you Archie? So, how are you doing today?
Just glad to be out of that horrid place.
OMG, what made it so horrid?
It was cramped and dirty and dark, and there wasn't proper sanitation or ventilation, and there was hardly any food to eat.
Aww. Why are your clothes so dirty?
I haven't changed them in 2.5 years.
Gross!
So what are some like common crimes?
Well, there was stealing, of course, and pickpocketing, burglary, poaching.
What did you do?
Oh, I kidnapped a little girl for their clothes.
So, could a super cute little girl like me get thrown in prison?
Yeah, definitely. Children were considered especially morally responsible and sentenced to the same prisons as the adults. They were even executed for capital crimes.
Ew!
So where do you sleep?
We slept all together in a few rooms, and we slept on the floor. All the women sleep in a few rooms, and the men sleep in other rooms.
Oh my gosh! It's like a giant sleepover party!
Yay! So how's the food?
Well, we don't really get that much, and when we do, it's pretty disgusting.
Sounds kind of like sleepaway camp.
So, how are the prisoners treated? I bet they were super duper nice.
Well, not exactly. We're treated like animals. We're locked up together in a cold, dark room, left to starve and die.
What was your favorite part about life in prison?
My pet rats.
Oh my gosh, rats? I love furry little creatures.
This one's ham and this one's cheese.
Nice.
Yep.
Ow, it bit me!
Oh, sorry. Ham tends to be a little happy. And nippy.
Ew, it's disgusting.
So, how was your prison experience overall?
It was a nightmare.
Language!
It was bad.
Well, that's all the time we have today for Archie.
Thanks for being on our show.
Thanks for having me, girls.
Come on, Archie!
Fun!
Anyway, now it's time for our
Hey, girls! I just shot a squirrel!
Dad, we're filming!
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to let you know that I shot a squirrel.
Thanks, Mr. Southers, but we're doing a very important episode on Newgate Prison.
Newgate Prison? I did a report on Newgate Prison, let me see, about 47 years ago.
Would you like to be on our show then?
Sure!
Okay, please welcome our surprise guest, Tammy's dad.
Did you girls know? Newgate... No. Did you girls know something else? Did you girls know that the use of long-term imprisonment to punish criminals actually began during the Victorian era? If you committed a minor crime, you usually were sentenced for a few months in the House of Corrections. But Newgate was for people awaiting trial.
Okay, so can you tell us about...
You know, most historians would say that there was less crime in England during the Victorian era than before, and that the crime rate continued to drop thereafter. This is mostly because there was less poverty, better lighting, better education, and other ways to keep kids off the street too. There was also a professional police force and restrictions on the sale of alcohol.
So, whose show do you think this is?
No, girls, I'm almost done. Let me see. So between 1808 and 1838, a lot of reforms were made in criminal law, and certain offences were no longer considered capital crimes.
Like what?
Well, like shoplifting, housebreaking, theft, and burglary. And then in 1841, there were only 11 crimes that were still constituted as capital crimes. And by 1861, only murder, piracy, treason, and setting fire to an arsenal or dockyard were crimes worthy of execution.
You know, I think that's enough.
No, I still have a bit more. Did you girls know that...
Mom!
Harold!
Oh, coming!
So now we can welcome our next scheduled guest.
Elizabeth Fry! Woo! Lizzie here attempted to fix the British prison system by targeting things like the surplus of prisoners and how they weren't treated well.
So, Lizzie, you were born on May 21st, 1780 in Norwich, England.
And your family was Quaker.
Quaker.
It's okay. And yes, that's all correct, that we weren't a very religious family.
And you helped make a lot of reforms in the prisons.
So, tell us how you got started.
Well, one of my sisters married a man who was interested in prison reform, so I learned a bit about it and found it was quite fascinating. In 1817, I began visiting Newgate, and it was absolutely deplorable. It was overcrowded, and the prisoners were treated poorly, especially the women.
So what did you do?
Well, in 1818, I founded the Committee for the Improvement of Prison Discipline, and I went before a parliamentary committee telling them how important it was to give prisoners useful work. And by the 1820s, I had an international reputation as a prison reformer.
So what were some of the problems you targeted?
Well, I advocated for the segregation of men and women in the prison, as well as the classification of prisoners. And I wanted there to be religious instruction in the prison, as well as general hygiene, female supervisors for the women, and productive work rather than hard labor.
What did you like do to help the women in the prison?
Well, I would go in sometimes and read the Bible to them. I also started a school for the young women and children who were in the prisoners with their mothers. I wrote them a list of rules to abide, but to give them a sense of order, and I had them doing small jobs like knitting in order to get some money.
So, I heard you wrote a book.
Sort of. In 1827, I published observations on the visiting superintendents and government of female prisoners.
Yeesh, that's a mouthful.
And it looks like that's all we have time for today. Thanks, Lizzie.
Bye, girls.
Bye. Now we just have one guest left.
And it's my neighbor, Mrs. Weinberg, who's a historian specializing in Victorian England.
Ew.
What are the chances?
Welcome, Mrs. W.
Oh, hi, girls. So nice to see you. My, how you've grown.
Nice to see you too, Mrs. W.
So can you start telling us about its name? Like the prison, I mean.
Oh, sure. So the gate on the west wall of Old London was originally called Westgate, but then it was renamed Chancellor's Gate. When it was rebuilt under Henry I in the 12th century, it was renamed Newgate.
Very interesting. So we heard there were some difficulties with the prison later on. Can you tell us about that?
Oh, well, in 1666, it was damaged by the Great Fire. Of course, it was rebuilt in 1780, but it was partially destroyed when a mob stormed it and released about 300 prisoners. And then it was set on fire during the Golden Riots of that year.
And now why isn't it used anymore?
Oh, well, after 1850, debtors weren't held in Newgate, and after 1849, it was really only used for people awaiting trial. And then after the Prison Act of 1877 was passed, Newgate wasn't used at all, and it was torn down in 1902.
Well, that's all the time we have today.
Thanks so much for watching our special on Newgate Prison.
Tune in next week for another episode of
The Tammy and Vanessa Show.